Do you ever find yourself saying, if I could just get a hold of my schedule and find a balance between my work and my personal life, all would be so much better? Is this an achievable reality? And if so, what would it look like? And how do I get there? I'll submit that the concept of work-life balance, as typically viewed, is unhelpful and leads to chronic frustration. The main problem with this phraseology surrounds the use of the word balance. We'll look at a more helpful way to conceptualize and address managing all of life's responsibilities in just a bit. However, first, let's unpack why the concept of balance is not so helpful. The definition of balance is an even and equal distribution of weight, or in this context, responsibilities. Think of a seesaw or a traditional scale. In order for one side not to go slamming down to the other, you have to have on the other side an equal amount of weight or a well-positioned amount of weight to keep things in perfect balance. Now, the thing about balance is that once you're in balance, you're immobilized. You can't accept any other variation into the picture, or else, guess what? You start going out of balance. If you were fortunate enough to grow up in an era and in a place where there were actual seesaws that you could get on, you will know that there was a lot of fun had and a lot of kids that got slammed to the ground, but there wasn't a whole bunch of balance going on. So extrapolating this into our own lives, this would be nearly impossible to achieve. And if we ever did, the experience would be momentary and paralyzing because we'd be afraid to make any sort of shift for fear of upsetting the delicate balance. Do you want your life to be paralyzed? Of course not. No, you don't. You want to be able to live your life and be able to go and do and see and experience things that you really want to experience. However, in order to do that, you cannot live in balance. Okay, Eric, so you're telling me that this work-life balance concept is a farcical myth. Then how do I strive to get a grip on navigating this reality that I experience well and with success? Glad you asked. The answer lies in the replacement of the word balance for the word tension. Now, I know what you're thinking. Tension doesn't sound near as positive or encouraging as balance does. Now, that may be true to a degree. However, let's remember that tension in and of itself is not a bad thing. It's not positive nor negative. It's just a reality of this life that we live in. I know we tend to use the word tension in a negative context, such as I've got this horrible tension in my neck, or this situation at work is causing me so much tension. However, let me try and paint a picture of how we can embrace this concept of tension and see it as a suitable reality to live in rather than something to be done away with and avoided. You may have a better illustration that works for you. However, the one that comes to my mind is that of physical fitness. In particular, muscle development. If we just sit around, our muscular frame is going to remain at best unchanged. And if we decrease the taxation on our muscles, they actually begin to atrophy. Think of somebody in a cast or somebody who isn't able to move as much as they once did. Their muscles just decrease in size and strength. However, if we cause our muscles to engage in time under tension, then they're forced to exert energy, and in short, they have the opportunity to grow and develop. If you lift a 25-pound dumbbell, your muscles have to work to pick it up, right? However, they don't necessarily benefit from that very brief exertion. Yet if you take the same dumbbell and curl it 15 times or hold it in your hand while you walk around the block, then you're increasing your time under tension and thus causing your muscle to be more taxed, to break down, and to become exhausted. Wait, are you telling me that you want me to increase my tension and break down and become exhausted? Hang on, illustration's not done yet. My point is that tension is not inherently a negative thing. It's just a cold, hard reality of life. If we choose to be strategic in how we handle that tension, growth can happen. The fact is that all your life responsibilities and areas of investment are going to be there whether you stress yourself out about them or not. They're not going anywhere. So it's far more beneficial to not set ourselves up for frustration by thinking that we'll magically be able to achieve some sort of perfect harmonious balance, that we release all those pressures and responsibilities. It's much healthier to embrace the full picture of what's on your plate currently and make a strategic plan on how to navigate it well. The first concrete step towards managing and navigating all the tension in our life and responsibilities that we have is to understand all the variables that are at play and what we have to take into consideration. You'll hear me frequently saying some version of this because the nature of our lives is that we don't carve out dedicated times to process and plan, and our lives tend not to get much better if we don't make adjustments that could really benefit us. I've long since believed that half of the magic of entering into counseling is that you intentionally dedicate time to focus on some growth points in your life and to get some help in achieving them. In fact, I encourage you to establish periodic or regular review times for your life to best discern what changes need to be made to navigate the pressures and responsibilities of life. Moreover, the greater the variation and moving parts that you have, likely the more that you're going to need to take stock and evaluate what alterations might need to be made. Consider the very different worlds and activity levels of a retired couple versus a large family with kids in music and sports programs. Now, each are going to have their areas of life where they need to assess and navigate well. However, the number and variability of those factors are dynamically different. Let me take a moment to pause for a second and just invite you to partner with me in increasing this channel's influence and impact. If you're finding these videos to be helpful in your own life and growth and development, would you please subscribe to the channel and like the videos that you find useful? My hope is that they can be of benefit to as many people as possible. So thanks for working towards that goal with me. Okay, so you've set aside time to reflect and process. Now what? My strong suggestion is that you use a tool to unpack and spread out all the various components of your life that need to be weighed through. If we just keep all the moving parts in our head, we tend to stay stuck in a cycle of feeling overwhelmed. However, if we can lay them all out and get the details and get the components out on a piece of paper, we're able to see the whole picture better and make more discerning choices as to how to wisely navigate life's responsibilities. I've created a simple tool that you can use to enter into this process. You can download the worksheet in the video notes section below that'll give you some framework for the rest of the video. For those who have used the Life 360 tool, the work-life navigation tool is a little bit different, as it's not necessarily defining areas of your life that need development, but rather how to manage and discern how to appropriately allocate your limited time and energy in this season of your life. In any given day, we only have so many hours to utilize, and we only have so much energy to give as well. So we have to be wise and discerning as to how we allocate those limited resources that we have. The tendency is to look at all the areas of potential investment in your life and just say off the cuff that I want to do the best that I can in all of these areas. While that would be a utopian dream, it's just not reality. We have to decide what areas we're going to give more attention and energy to, and what areas we're going to intentionally reduce our investments in so that we can allocate them to the more pressing and important areas for this season of life. One of the main problems I see with people running into this exercise is that they want to be faithful and hardworking and excellent in every area of life. If you take anything away from this video, this is it. Remind yourself that when you say no, you're actually saying yes to something that at this current stage of your life you deem to be more important and worthwhile to invest yourself in. Oftentimes we feel like maybe saying no is unkind or it's not the right call to make in that situation. While that may be true, the reality is a lot of times we just continue to gradually add things in our life without taking things off of the docket or without reprioritizing what needs to get more energy in our life. So again, let me just restate that phrase because it is so helpful to keep this in mind as we go through this process. Saying no is not a bad thing. Saying no helps you prioritize what you need to say yes to. You're not discounting the other opportunities or labeling them as worthless. However, you're making a conscious choice where to invest yourself and give your available time and energies in this season of life. This mental reminder can set you free to see that saying no is actually a good and prudent decision because it frees you up to invest well in all the yeses of your life. I know the simple tool that you just downloaded doesn't look like an audio equalizer, but it might be helpful to conceptualize it like an audio equalizer. So in an equalizer, you have the bass, you have the treble, you have the mids, and you have all these variables that you can adjust. But if you just crank them all up to 10 across the board, the sound would not be nearly as ideal as if you take your time and fine tune and make adjustments for a particular song. And the end result could be super pleasing and satisfying. The same is true for your life. I want you to make beautiful music and have a life that when others come in contact with it, they know that a lot of concentrated effort went into making it so great. So on the tool, you'll see that it's super simple. It has some blank portions on this side. It has a scale of 1 to 10 on this side. And this is what you're simply going to do. You're going to, on this side of the page, just put in your different life investments. That's going to be family and work and hobbies and social interactions. You may have church, you may have clubs that you're a part of, you've got kids games, you've got all these different life investments. And that's why I left it blank, because each of our lives is a bit different, right? And so we have different areas that we need to consider. What do I allocate my time to? Now, on this side of the page, you'll see that there's a scale that goes from 0 to 10. And again, after you've filled in your life responsibilities and things that you want to consider, how do I find a healthier path for myself navigating all these life responsibilities? You're going to go back through, and I want you to intentionally, first off, go ahead and look at the ones where you can put a 7 or a 5. And I know it's going to kill you to do some of this on some of these, but to put a 4 or a 3 down there. Again, we are not diminishing the value of that. All we're doing is saying, in this time right now, I only have so much energy. I've got to give it in these areas. And then you're going to go back through and you're going to look at the ones that are higher priority for you right now. And you're going to put 7, 8, 9, 10. And this is going to give you a framework for what do you focus your time and energies on. Not that you totally ignore most of the other things, but just when push comes to shove and when you only have so much to give, you now have a roadmap for which ones to give yourself to. So I encourage you to take some time with this and invest in yourself so that you can reduce stress, enjoy your life more, and hopefully have more margin to invest in the areas of your life that are most important. May you find increasing settledness, clarity, and joy as you healthily navigate life's responsibilities. See you in the next video, friends.